be like have to go be like, hello everyone, thank you for coming, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? I'll do phone line first, and then you can tell me if you can hear his voice well or not, and if not, I'll pull on Teams. Yeah. She'll get it. Yeah. Cool. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
노트북 괜찮아?
아니, 노트북 아니야.
어? 노트북이 안 된다고?
아니, 그거 아니고 고장났어.
뭐?
아니, 그 수강생분한테 그 친구들 필요할 때 하는 뭐가 지금 안 하고 있어.
아니, 전화하는 게 좋을 것 같아.
아, 그래?
I know. But at least we got the code. Really? Okay. Choose from yeah. That I can really
Thank you. Okay.
Eunice Liu with CNBC.
Nice to see all of you. It's been quite a long week for all of you.
Yes.
All right. How can I help?
Eunice Liu with CNBC. I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question.
How about I'll start here? I'll get to everyone.
Thank you so much. My question is, will you continue to lobby President Trump to sell the Blackwell chip in China?
Well, I think it's really good for the United States and for China that Nvidia could bring AI technology to China for many reasons. One reason, of course, is that the China market is large and it's a vibrant market with a lot of developers. And those developers create AI technology that's exported from China all over the world. And so to the extent that American tech stack can run and operate those AI models, it's good for the United States around the world.
So would you want the Blackwell to be sold in China?
I hope so. But that's a decision for President Trump to make.
Well, based on the national security community's response, which was quite hostile after President Trump had floated the idea, what do you think the chances are that it actually will be approved for China?
Well, that's the concern about exporting technology to China, of course, and that's understandable. However, remember, China makes plenty of AI chips themselves, and the Chinese military surely have plenty of access to chips that are created in China. So whatever national security, take into consideration the fact that China has blocked H20. And so, in a lot of ways, China is saying that, listen, we have plenty of AI technology ourselves, and so the national security concern from that perspective, I think, is really answered by the fact that China doesn't want H20 or any American chips.
But then what's the real
What do you think of the current market situation? Don't you think an air bubble?
There's several ways to look at it. The first thing is the computer industry is going through two platform transitions, not one. One platform transition is going from general purpose computing to accelerated computing. And that is the great invention of our company. We were able to create a new computing model that after Moore's Law has run out of steam, the world can move towards. All of the applications don't even have to be AI. It's like data processing and recommender systems and search, and many of those applications today can now benefit from accelerated computing. On top of accelerated computing, because of the performance, we created a whole new application called AI. And this AI technology is very consequential. It is very impactful for every single industry, and that is new. Probably the best way to think about the moment at this time is the technology has now evolved to be quite useful. When AI first came out, the results were quite curious and it was very interesting, but not very useful. In the last couple of years, because of reasoning and agentic AI models, the AI models have now become very useful and producing answers that are very, very useful for people, for consumer users, as well as for companies, to the point where AI is now profitable. When AI is profitable, people want to produce more AI. That's the reason why capital investment is going up. And then let me just make one more observation, and that is, during the bubble time of 2000, most of the internet fiber was dark. But today, Nvidia GPUs are used all over the world, so the consumption is quite high. I think we're really in the beginning. The best way to think about this, our phase right now, is that we're in the beginning of a 10-year build-out of a new computing platform, from the old approach to the new approach. And so I think it's going to be many years of quite exciting growth. Yes.
Congratulations for becoming the first ever $5 trillion company, given the exuberance of our artificial intelligence. But as a CEO of the company, does that give you a little bit of pause, or do you think that reflects fundamentals? And how big of a risk is it that you're still shut out of the Chinese market?
Well, it took 30 years for us to do this, and we have invented a new computing approach. As you know, the computer has remained largely the same for 60 years since the invention of the IBM Systems 360. And after 60 years, we reinvented the computer. And now we're going through these platform shifts, and AI is the most impactful technology that anyone has ever known. It is fundamentally about generating intelligence. The impact is quite extraordinary to every single industry. So I'm proud of the fact that we reinvented computing. I'm proud of the fact that we're part of a technology revolution that is impacting every field of science and every industry. And it will be impactful for every single country, including Korea, which is the reason why we're here and why President Lee and all of the my CEO friends and companies, the giant companies here in Korea, have announced big partnerships, and we're going to launch new AI infrastructure into Korea. So I'm quite pleased about that, and I'm proud of the fact that Nvidia is at the epicenter.
What's the potential of sovereign programs that you mentioned, especially across Asia?
Well, here in Korea, Korea has a chance to be one of the world's major AI hubs. And today's announcement, along with President Lee's passion, enthusiasm, drive, and my CEO friends who are dedicated to create this journey for Korea, this is a perfect example of sovereign AI.
We just saw you have a conversation with SK Group's Che Tae-won. SK Group and Samsung in that rivalry right now, but you're getting business with both companies. What's the potential there?
Well, they're both friends of mine, and they're friendly competitors. Of course, competition is terrific, and Korea is going to be growing tremendously in semiconductors in the coming years. And the reason for that, as you know, Samsung and SK helped me invent the AI supercomputer. Without the HBM memory, there is no AI supercomputer. And so I'll come back to you, I promise you. Okay. And they helped me invent the AI supercomputer, and over the next decade, memory technology and semiconductor growth here in Korea will be very significant. With respect to China, China is now 0% of our business. We used to have 95% share of the AI business in China, and now we're at 0% share. And I'm disappointed by that. And I hope that condition will change. But irrespective, Nvidia is going to grow quite substantially over the next several years.
That's two questions. One is out of ordinary and one is
I grew up in Thailand.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super rich.
Okay, perfect. Thank you
I
very
went to
much.
Rumburi.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right. The extraordinary question is, what do you think about 3I at last? Does Nvidia have any contingency plan if anything happens with the AI technology in the world currently happening? That's the question.
Advancing AI, the first thing we have to do is advance AI safety.
Safety.
Although we don't talk about it a lot,
Yes.
the industry is creating an enormous amount of safety AI technology.
Thank you.
And cybersecurity AI technology, guardrail technology, grounding the AI so that the AI could be truth seeking and make sure that the content that is generated is truthful. There's a great deal of AI technology associated with safety and security. So my colleagues are very serious on this. Let me just if we take this question, then the whole room will be less loud.
No, I want a loud one.
Oh, okay. Let me take this and I'll take yours.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA just announced a deal involving 260,000 GPUs with South Korean government. The country is leading industrial giants. So are there any plans to supply additional units to other companies in South Korea or government? So are there any plans to have more contracts coming up in South Korean government? Or
There are 60,000 GPUs in Korea today.
Correct.
In the next year, we will deploy another 250,000 in just Samsung, SK, Hyundai, Naver, and the Korean government. And so just 5 teams will deploy another 260,000. That's very significant. After that, there's no question in my mind that Korea will build many more AI factories here. Not just for the Korean industry, which is one of the largest economies in the world and one of the largest technology industries in the world, but also because Korea has a chance to be an AI hub of the region. And it has the ability to attract startups that are in other countries to be hosted on Korea AI Cloud. It also has the opportunity to attract companies to invest here. You know, if you want to be an AI company, you need to have AI infrastructure. If Korea has AI infrastructure, you can attract the investments of many startups. So I'm very optimistic about the future of AI in Korea.
Will there be more chips?
Talk to us about the foundry cooperation with Samsung Electronics. Are you, in a way, hedging TSMC?
No, hedging isn't really the right way to think about it.
How would you describe it?
We have partners that excel at the areas of manufacturing semiconductors. It is not, as you know, I make chips. There are many companies that make chips, and we make chips in different ways for different reasons and different value propositions, if you will. And so it's the same with Samsung, and you know they're deep and excellent in their field of semiconductors. And whenever we have opportunities where our products are perfect fit for the way that they manufacture chips, we find opportunities to work together. Today, Samsung manufactures all of Nvidia's robotics processors.
You mentioned that the Chinese government was blocking.
Oh, okay. I'll come back.
It
was my fault.
Right. BBC News. Thanks for talking to me.
I've got all night, you guys.
Will these new announcements?
I've been up since 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little tired.
So have we.
Yeah.
Will these new announcements make up for the shortfall with the Chinese market for Nvidia?
That's really the best way to think about it is that China is a very large market. It's a very important market. The developer in the industry is really vibrant. It's dynamic. The vast majority of the world's open source AI is developed in China. Qwen is developed in China, Kimi, DeepSeek, so on and so forth. There's so many amazing AI research in China, and they do amazing work, and they do it in an open source way. And so the China market is just simply unique. It's important. It's an important and large market for all of the reasons that I mentioned. And so there is no replacing it.
But is it justified that you're being locked out of the market because of the U.S.-China relations?
I hope that we will be able to go back to China, and I'll keep explaining the reasons why it's important for American companies to be able to participate in the China market, and I'll keep being optimistic that China would want American companies to be in the China market because China wants to be a region, a market where people can invest and where people can build businesses, and they love companies coming into the China market. They want it to be an open market, and so I'll continue to be optimistic about these things, and hopefully things get worked out.
Is Nvidia suffering because you've not got access to the Chinese market? Is Nvidia suffering because you've not got access to the Chinese market?
If the definition of suffering is that we're not in the Chinese market, obviously. That's not the way to think about it. Whether we suffer or not, the way to think about the China market is it's a singular, vital, important, dynamic market, and nobody can replace it. And it's in the best interest of America to serve that China market. It's the best interest of China to have the American technology company bring technology to the China market. It's in the best interest of both countries. And I hope that policymakers will ultimately come to that conclusion.
Will you consider working with Korean companies to manufacture your latest GPUs, and under what circumstances? And are you planning to visit Taiwan for TSMC Sports Day?
The sports day?
Yeah.
When's the sports day?
Next week.
Really?
So you don't know?
Really? It's next week? Okay, well, let's see where I'm going to be next week. However, there are a lot of considerations when choosing a foundry for manufacturing our chips. Most of the considerations are related to whether the foundry's technology and the technology we need are perfectly aligned. And it's not good or bad. It's just simply a decision. The chips that we make are very different than mobile devices, very different than PCs, and so it just depends on where the opportunities are, where the foundries decide to focus their process technology. And then second, a lot of it has to do with timing. You know, the process technology is advancing, our chips are advancing. Sometimes the roadmaps just don't line up, and it takes a lot of good fortune, good timing, and good alignment. There's a lot of factors involved.
Justin, one more question over here.
Yeah. Can I take one from over here? I'll be right back. Yeah.
2 days ago, U.S. and Korea has made trade deal, but uncertainties remain on semiconductors. Semiconductor tariffs that could affect Nvidia's business. And could you share your hope for use of recent trade deals between two countries?
Which two countries?
U.S. and South Korea has made trade deals, but there's remaining uncertainty about semiconductor tariffs that could affect Nvidia's business.
You know, I'm not in politics or geopolitics, and we lead companies. The most important thing for companies is stability, whatever the conditions are. As you know, long before Nvidia was founded, Earth has gravity, and we made it work for us. And every country has taxes. We make it work for us. And the cost of living is different in every single country, and we make it work for us. I think that whatever the tariffs are, so long as we stay for some time, we'll make it work. And I am very confident that the Korean companies are going to be quite agile, and we'll find a way to thrive again in the, whatever decisions are made about tariffs, we'll continue to thrive.
There was any AI GPU business cooperation with LG Korea, and you met Chairman Lee Jae-yong and Chairman Jensen last night. What did you talk about with them, and can you tell me the impressions?
Last night, it was supposed to be Jay, Isan, and Tony and I having fried chicken. And the reason I just really love Korean fried chicken. Who doesn't love Korean fried chicken? Right? There's K-pop and there's KFC, right? And so last night was the first night I've been back for many years. And so I was hoping that the four of us would go off. But Tony had to drop here because he's very busy. He's the chairman of APEC, and so he could not join us last night. Mostly, we spoke about fried chicken. Yeah, and then we spoke about, they introduced me to Somek. And
how many did you?
I had quite a few. That's why I'm a little slow today. But we did that, and we spoke to the other guests, and we spoke to a lot of people who were outside, and we spoke to the restaurant owner, and that's what we spoke about.
I thought you were closer to Samsung because Tony wasn't there.
No. All of us were hoping Tony.
Jensen, Nvidia's market cap just surpassed $5 trillion recently. What do you think is mainly driving the milestone, and do you see it as sustainable?
Nvidia, first of all, I'm grateful that the company is valued so much. But the reason for that is because we invented a new computing approach that is the future of computing. And as you know, computing and computers is the single most important instrument of humanity today. It is important to all the people, it's important to every single industry, it's important to every single nation. And the fact that we reinvented computers for the first time in 60 years, it's quite an extraordinary thing. And so that is driving fundamentally our growth. The second is, of course, on top of that, we invented a way of computing that made AI possible. And intelligence is the most valuable commodity in the world. It's the thing we treasure most. And we can now manufacture intelligence for many industries. And we see every day for chatbots, of course, but in the future we'll see intelligence for manufacturing and robotics and self-driving cars and science and digital biology and even quantum chemistry and quantum computing and 6G telecommunications. All of that will have AI technology that integrates it. So the future opportunity for us is really quite extraordinary, quite enormous. Once in a lifetime opportunity. I'll be right back.
양사와 어느 정도 진전을 이룬 상태로 일반인의 GPU와 GPU의 how much progress is made with the both companies?
한국 정부 AI 정책에 대한 평가가 있다.
And then I'm wondering about how you would evaluate the AI policies from the Korean government.
The AI policies for the Korean government is really important. And the reason for that is because AI requires energy, it requires land, and it requires the ability to construct factories. And all of that has benefits from governments that are very, very supportive of AI. And President Lee is incredibly supportive of AI. He understands all of these issues. And he wants Korea to be one of the world's leading AI hubs. In fact, his hope is that his dream is that Korea is the world's leading AI hub only behind the United States and China. And so that's a very ambitious goal, and there's no reason why Korea cannot achieve it. You have the technology, you have the software expertise, and you also have a natural ability to build manufacturing plants. Industrialization is really a core strength of Korea. And so I think this is just a fantastic opportunity, once in a generation opportunity for Korea. And there's no question that the leaders that I was with today and President Lee is 100% behind it. With respect to HBM4, as you know, we have very valued partners, and there's no reason to choose between my valued partners. I'm really hoping that they will all succeed and that we will all become very, very large. I hope that I'm going to be a gigantic customer for both of them for many years.
Don't you gain more price competitiveness though if you have both of them?
No, they treat me very fairly, and both companies are long-term friends, and they treat me very fairly.
Jensen, you mentioned that the Chinese government blocks the
Yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Yeah, so hold on. So, can I
two questions quickly, Jensen?
Okay.
Do you want to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
So what else did you discuss with President Lee about South Korea becoming an AI hub? Because there's a lot of talk about that. But are you guys discussing building AI data centers or reducing Korea's API reliance?
We spoke about all of that. We spoke about Korea building sovereign AI, Korea building AI infrastructure. We announced today that Korea will build 250,000 most advanced GPU AI factories here in the very near future. A brand new initiative that was just announced today. 250,000 GPUs is a very large number. It will be used for everything from training and creating Korea's sovereign AI, building Korea's AI startup ecosystem, supporting science and research here in Korea, of course, the government, and then all the industries, everything from healthcare to automobiles to digital twins of factories and building chips and building ships, and every single industry will be impacted. And so that was the second. And of course, you saw the big partnerships that I announced with Samsung and SK and Hyundai and Naver, and not to mention, Korean government is one of the first governments, literally the first government, to invest in 50,000 GPUs for the Korean government. And so that's a very big initiative. I'm really honored to be part of building AI for Korea.
So now that you're pitting Samsung against SK Hynix when it comes to high bandwidth memory chips,
would that bring down prices, better margin story for Nvidia?
We're going to be growing so fast. It's really rare that a company as large as Nvidia grows at such incredible rates and scale. And so the opportunity for all of us is really quite significant. It's going to take the partnership of all of the makers of HBM4 really to support our growth. And so I'm grateful for everything that they've done to build the capacity necessary for our growth. They're both going to do incredibly well.
You mentioned that the Chinese government. You mentioned that the Chinese.
I'm going to take one more, right?
Yes.
And then I'm going to. Is that okay? It's okay.
President Trump was actually looking for you when he was speaking right here. Did you talk to President Trump this week about your Korea agenda, expressing your perhaps a disappointment over what you didn't get from the U.S. and China bilateral?
I tried to get to Korea as fast as I could, but I happened to be in Washington, D.C. doing a major event, our largest conference in Washington, D.C. And so as fast as I could get to Korea to support him, unfortunately, he was already finished. And he knew everything that I was going to announce here in Korea. President Lee knew everything I was going to announce, and they're all really proud of the announcement, and they're really, really pleased that we're investing so much American technology, and we're going to make such large investments here in Korea. And so President Lee was very supportive. President Trump was very supportive. I'm delighted by the success of the summit that they had between President Trump and President Xi. Just from reading, like everybody else, it sounded like it was a huge success. I don't know what they spoke about or didn't speak about, and I'm looking forward to learning more over time.
You mentioned that the Chinese government blocked the H20. What do you think the real market opportunity is for Nvidia in China, given that the Chinese government has been signaling that it wants Chinese companies to buy Chinese chips?
That's understandable. Every country should want their companies to succeed. And China has really extraordinary companies. Their entrepreneurial spirit, their technology speed, their innovation speed, their work ethic. And of course, you can't overstate the incredible might of China manufacturing. And so I think the Chinese companies are formidable, and they have every right to be formidable. And China has every right to want their companies to succeed.
Right, but what role would you have in there? How competitive is the B30A, for example?
I was about to answer your question, how big of a market opportunity it is. It's, I would say it's probably $50 billion this year. It's probably, call it a couple of $100 billion by the end of the decade. China is the world's second largest computer market. It is vibrant, it is growing, it is extremely modern, and it's also very competitive.
How competitive
If we want to succeed in China, we just have to be extraordinarily competitive. But I think we're putting the, if you will, the cart before the horse. I think ultimately, the U.S. government and the Chinese government have to decide what role they would like NVIDIA to play. And I think that I've been very clear that having NVIDIA technology in China is in the best interest of the United States and the best interest of China as well. And I hope that, I'm optimistic, and I hope that the right answers will emerge.
NVIDIA has to pay a 15% tax.
I got a question about your investment in the U.S. I know that you recently visited TSMC's Arizona factory. So I just wonder how many proportions of your advanced chips to be produced in the U.S.
TSMC invested in manufacturing in the United States. TSMC really today, because of that investment, has become a global company. Not just TSMC, of course, is an incredible company, largely in Taiwan. Because of Arizona, TSMC is an incredible company that is now global, with a global footprint. I think that's terrific. It's a real transformation of TSMC's posture, and it provides customers like ourselves diversity and resilience in manufacturing. I deeply appreciate that they are supporting NVIDIA in manufacturing in the United States. It's very important to NVIDIA. that we have the ability to manufacture critical technology in the United States. And so I appreciate TSMC. I appreciate all of my partners from Steel and Amcor and Foxconn and Wistron and many others who are going to help us build entire systems in the United States.
When will TSMC deliver to Korea?
Several chip makers have announced that their HBM supply for next year is already sold out. Does this indicate that price negotiations with Nvidia for HBM4 have been finalized?
I'm actually not sure the answer. But the thing I am sure is that Nvidia and SK and Samsung and all of our suppliers and supply chain partners have been working together for 30 years. And somehow, we always find a way to do good business together. And I have every confidence that we will do very successful business together. The thing that you said that is most important is the growth is so incredible. The growth is so incredible. Even with all of the expanded HBM supply, we are going to be quite challenged still. And so the growth that we are seeing in our business, NVIDIA's business, is growing faster. It's growing faster by the month. And so I appreciate our partners working hard to keep up with us.
Sorry, I have one last question.
No.
One last question, so I'm about to go on air. How big will your China business and your China sales be with the export restrictions or without the export restrictions?
Well, NVIDIA had 95% of the China market. Today, we have 0%. At the beginning of the Biden administration, we had 95%. And the policies of that administration really caused us to lose practically the entire China market. I would guess that China is probably something like, $35 to $50 billion a year to us if we were fully in that market today. And by the end of the decade, it's probably, well over $100 billion. It's quite substantial. But at the moment, it's zero. We're forecasting zero. We're expecting zero. We're hoping for non-zero, but we're expecting zero. And we'll do our best and continue to grow the company. Of course, around the world, the opportunity is really quite substantial. We're going through a platform shift from the old way of doing computing to this new way, NVIDIA's way of doing accelerated computing and AI. We're in the beginning of the decade journey of building out this infrastructure. I think it's going to be really a lot of growth with or without China. But the China market is very special, and we don't take it for granted, and it would be really helpful that we're in there.
When do you expect the GPUs to be delivered to Korea? When do you expect the chips to be delivered to Korea?
The critical path for chips in Korea is actually building the factories, the data centers. And so we need power generation, and the data centers. As soon as those data centers are built, I'll make sure chips get here as fast as possible. Okay?
Well, this question is
okay. Yeah. Yeah. This is your last question. I do.
Do you miss Marshall? What do you made in Taiwan next week?
I don't know if I'll see him next week. But every time I go to Taiwan, he's the first person I see. And so,
Mr. Huang,
yeah, Morris and Sophie is always the first stop, and I always enjoy seeing them.
What's your message for people in South Korea who admires you and your company's vision?
Well, I'm grateful for their friendship. Korea has welcomed me for 30 years with open arms. And NVIDIA was very young when I first came. We were only a few years old. We were probably, $100 million company, just a small company. And Korea was very loving and welcomed me. It was also quite incredible that Korea invented a whole new genre of sports, e-sport. And because NVIDIA's GeForce is so important to e-sport, we became, if you will, the gear of choice of Korea. And a whole generation of young people grew up on NVIDIA. And so we've had a very long relationship, and one that I treasure greatly. And now we have a new journey. In the beginning it was Korea growing with NVIDIA's journey. Now it's Nvidia growing with Korea's journey and the journey of AI. So I'm very grateful. I'll take this question over to Joe.
Aside from creating the best kids in the world and already in school, would you be interested in bringing young kids like from Thailand to have a great learning about your factory or what Nvidia is doing differently?
Sure. Set up a field trip. Come see Nvidia, learn how to and we have many Thai employees in our company. Okay, I'll take one more question. Who's going to take it? The last question is very important, right? Okay. Who is going to ask a good question to be the last question? Are you? Is this the last? Okay, everyone is going to hear her question. Let's hear her question. We can decide whether it's a good last question. Are you sure? Okay. Her last question. Are you sure? I think they're still working on it. Nvidia Taiwan, we have a lot of employees there, and our office space is not enough. And so we selected a very beautiful site to put Nvidia Taiwan. And I think they're still discussing between the local government and the landowner. I don't know what the latest status is, but I do know this. All of the people in Taipei really would like Nvidia to be in Taipei. But if we cannot find anywhere in Taipei, I have to put it somewhere. And so I hope I can put it in Taipei. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.